So let's start the advanced part of Active Directory domain services. So we'll talk about the advanced part of Active Directory. So in that we need to first learn about, number one. In that we need to learn about Active Directory, or you can say that ADDS domain boundaries. Okay, domain boundaries. Now, what is the meaning of boundaries over there? Boundaries means what infra provided by the ADDS domain and the ADDS forest. Okay, so what are the infra provided by the ADS domain and ADS forest? That what we have a boundaries. Boundaries means the infrastructure provided by ADS domain and ADS in forest. Okay, so if we talk about the infrastructure, if we talk about the services which works in ADS domain or provided by ADS domain, is number one is known as replication. Okay, first for boundary is known as replication boundary. Okay, now we talk about the replication boundary. Now, what is the meaning of replication? Replication is the services. Okay, like imagine, like imagine that I have one domain network. Okay, like this is my one domain network. Okay, or we'll see like this. We have a one domain network like this. Okay, this is my domain network. Okay, and this is I have only one branch, as you can see that. So this is the network one. We can call it domain network one. Okay, and this network is is located in Delhi. Delhi, it's a Delhi site, as you can say that. Okay, and my domain name is abc.com. I'm using domain name abc.com, and this is my PDC. So I have only parent domain network only. That's it. Okay. Now imagine that in this network I have other DCs also. Like imagine in this network I have how many DCs? Imagine in this network I have 5 DCs. Okay, 5 DCs. Okay, one is my parent DC, and rest we have some other DCs, like some additional DCs. We have RDC also, we have ADC also, additional DCs also, we have RDC also, read-only domain controllers also. Okay, so we have total 5 DCs. Okay, so replication boundary is working to every domain network. Okay, replication boundary is working in every domain network. Okay, so that it works in every domain network. Okay, so if we talk about the replications, replication is what it is. It is the services. It is used to synchronize the updates. Like imagine that in this domain I have 5 DCs. So all 5 DCs has updates. Like imagine DC1 has some update, so it sends to DC2, then DC3, DC4, like this. So replication is used to update the database between all the DCs in the same domain network. Okay, so that's what we have our replication boundary. So replication works in the same domain also. Replication works between the domain networks also, and replication works in the forest also, and application works between the forest also. Okay, like imagine I have one forest. In one forest I have 10 domain networks, 10 branches. Okay, so replication work between those branches as well. Okay, and like imagine if you have two forests, like forest 1, forest 2, means I have two companies, different companies, abc.com and xyz.com. So replication occurs between these two companies as well. If I are using the replication, if I have link between those two companies. Okay, like you know previously also that we have a Microsoft company and we have a Nokia company. Nokia and Microsoft have collaborate with each other previously. Okay, some previous years back. Okay, so in that case, what happens? It means that Nokia users are able to access the Microsoft resources, and Microsoft users are able to access the Nokia resources. So that's what we have, a different forest. Microsoft has different forest and Nokia has different forest. So if I want that, I want to you can say that if I want that, I want to travel, or I want to synchronize both the forests together, so we can use the application boundary in that case. So the application boundary works in domain also. The application boundaries works in forest also. Understood, both of you? Sai, Teja and Teja till now. Okay, so the application is the services. It is used to update the database between the domain controllers. If I'm using the same database, okay, so like imagine if I doing anything in the DC1, if I changes anything in the DC1, so DC1 is used to send that updates to all the DCs in the domain, in the particular domain network. Okay, we can create multiple we can create multiple DCs also in one domain network. Okay, so in that case, so replication boundary is works in by default in the domain, in every domain in the network. Okay, and it, if you have multiple DCs in the network, in the one domain network, so it replicates the database between all the DCs. Okay, understood both of you, Sai, Teja and Teja till now, right? Okay, great. Okay, great, Teja. Fine. Now well, second part we need to understand is administration boundary. Now anyone know about administration? Anyone know about administration? What is administration? What type of administration we can do in the in the servers? Okay, what type of administration, what do you think, with what we can do in the servers after creating the domain controller, after creating the database, after having the database, what you can do in the database? Sayateja and Teja, anything know about this? What we can do in the database, or what we can do in the AD? Hello. Okay, administration work means like when you're going to create the users, when you're going to create the groups, okay, when you're going to create the computer accounts, okay, user accounts, groups, all those stuff. That's what we have a administration work in the domain. Okay, if you want to create the sites, you want to create the group policies. Okay, so this is known as the administration. So whatever administration you can do, it contained by every domain controller in their AD database. Okay, so what kind of administration boundary we have? We have like, it maintains all the, number one, it maintains all the groups, whatever groups we can create. I hope you both of you all know the groups. Okay, we have two types of groups: security group, distribution group, and all the things. Okay, now number second, we have something about like user accounts. We create user accounts as well. Okay, fine. Now next, we can give some user permissions on user accounts. We provide permissions on user accounts. Okay, fine. Now number fourth, provide manage group policies. Okay, so these are the administration work in a particular domain, or in a particular in a particular domain network. Okay, so it maintains all the things with the help with administration boundary. So administration boundary contains all the things. Okay, next one we have a delegate control. Okay, delegate control means provide some user, provide some admin rights to the user. Okay, so these are the administration work in a particular domain network. Okay, so these administration works are maintained by administration boundary. Understood, both of you, Sai, Teja and Teja, clear till now, right? Okay, now next we have a group policy boundary. So it maintains your group policies. Okay, whatever group policy you can implement, whether you can implement a group policies on a site, on a domain, on a OU. Okay, wherever you can apply the group policies. Okay, it maintains, you can say that it maintains the group policies, group policies, you can say that but where you can link the group policies. Okay, how you can apply, it means where you can apply the group policies. All the configuration of group policy maintained by the group policy boundary. Okay, so these boundaries are automatically created in the domain. Remember these things. Okay, number fourth, is known as password and audit policy boundary. Okay, so this is also a boundary who maintains the audit password and audit policies. Password policies means like you already know that when I'm going to install the servers, it needs one password at least. Okay, so by default your password policies are already running in the background and in the domain network. Okay, and by default it configuration is like we need 7-character password minimum. Okay, and password should be should be complex. It means it has 3 characters: alphabetical, numerical, and special. Okay, your password by default expires 42 days. By default it expires 42 days automatically. After 42 days your password should be expired, so you so you need to change the password in that case. Okay, so that's what we have. So these are the policies we have. By default is running in the domain network. Okay, fine, we can configure these policies manually as well. Okay, number fifth, replication boundary for DNS. DNS zones. How your DNS zones replicate. Okay, either your DNS zone replicate to all the domain controllers in the domain network, or all the DNS servers in the domain network, or specific domain servers in the domain network, or DNS servers in the domain network. Okay, so like imagine if in my domain network I have 3 DNS servers, so your every DNS zone replicate to other DNS servers as well. Okay, so this is the by default functionality of Active Directory domain, as you can say that ADS domain network. Okay, so these functionalities, you can say these are the 5 functionalities, or these are the by default functionalities. If you want to change, you can change it as well as per your requirement. Okay, so these are the domain. This is every domain network. These five boundaries are working by default. Okay, fine. Next we have a ADS forest boundaries as well, like complete forest. Okay, we talk about the complete forest is known as ADS forest boundaries. Okay, forest boundary means it gives you some boundaries as well. Like number one is security boundary. Okay, so it gives you the security that no one is able to access outside the network, or no user is able to access outside the forest, any resources outside the forest, or no one is able to access inside the forest and able to access the resources. So it gives you the security that any user are not able to access the resources outside the forest also, and outsiders also not able to access the resources inside the forest as well. Okay, it provide you security. Number second, it gives you again replication boundary, which I already told you. Okay, so your replication boundary means that that in if you have a different forest. Okay, or you can say that if you like imagine I already told you that in one forest I have 10 domain networks. So all domain networks should be replicate with each other in the forest, inside the forest also, or if you have a two different forest, or you have a collaboration with them. Okay, so these two forests are able to communicate with each other also with the help of replication. Okay, now next, number third, it has, you can say that, replication boundary for DNS, for DNS zones. The same thing, like imagine I have different domain networks in my forest, and we have a different domain DNS servers also in the forest. So I want that all the DNS zones are replicated with each DNS servers inside the forest. So then we can go for replication boundary for DNS zones. So these boundaries are automatically created and automatically working. Okay. Number fourth, we have a replication replication boundary for configuration partition. Now, what is the meaning of configuration partition? Configuration partition, we have a partitions too also. Like in operating system, we have a partition. Like when I'm going to install the operating system, we need to create the partition. Okay. Like same, when I'm going to install the DC, some partitions, we can say that by default, 4 partitions are automatically created. So we discuss about the partition in upcoming lectures, not to worry. But if we talk about the partitions, so your Active Directory has the partitions also. Okay, so those partitions are working automatically. Like once you install the Active Directory, okay, the partitions are automatically installed in the Active Directory and it works together. Okay, like this. So in configuration partition, what it do, like imagine, like I tell you, like imagine this is my full forest. This is the complete forest I have. This is my complete forest, as you can see that. Okay, this is the complete forest I have. Okay, this is my forest. Okay, complete forest. Now in this forest, we have some domain networks. Like imagine I have domain network 1 over there. Okay, and then we have a domain network 2 also, domain network 3 also. Okay, domain network 4 also, like this. Okay, you can say this is my full company. The black one is my full company, and we have a different branches. Okay, so this is, you can say that this is the site 1, we call site 1. Okay, it's in Delhi, you can say that. Okay, now we have site 2, which is in Gurgaon. Okay, we have a site 3, okay, which is in Hyderabad. Okay, like this. Okay, we have a site 3 in Hyderabad, and we have a site 4 in Chennai. Imagine this is my site 4 in Chennai. Okay, now this is these are the 4 sites I have. Okay, and these all sites are communicated with each other with the help of WAN link. So this is the internet connection, as you can see that. In between we have an internet connection like this. Okay, this is the internet connection, and all the sites are connect with the internet connection like this, like this, like this. Okay, this is the WAN link, as you can see that. We call internet connection as a WAN link. We have a WAN link. Okay, and with the help of WAN link, all the sites are connected with each other. Okay, now now what configuration partition do? Configuration partitions maintain the information. Like we have, like imagine how many sites we have. We have 4 sites. So configuration partition maintain the information about number 1, how many domain DCs are running in a particular site. Okay, like imagine in site 1 we have 1 DC. Okay, site 2 we have 4 DCs. Site 3 we have 5 DCs. Site 4 we have 6 DCs. Okay, so it maintains the information about how many DCs are running in a particular site. In one site, how many DCs are running. Okay, fine. And number second, which DC is belongs to which site. Okay, like if I have DC2, so DC2 is belongs to which site? Site 1, site 2, site 3, or site 4, like this. Okay, if I am using, if number 3, if I am running the DHCP server, so DHCP authorization information. DHCP authorization information is saved in your configuration partition. Okay, fine. If I'm running the mailing server like Exchange server, so it's inform Exchange server. Like imagine I'm using the Exchange server. So Exchange server information also saves in configuration partition. So these are the partition. These are the partition, as you can see. This partition is automatically installed. Okay, when you're going to create a parent domain controller, your first DC in the forest, this partition is automatically installed and maintain all the information about it, about your forest. Okay, how many sites in my forest, in every site how many DCs we have, which DC belongs to which forest, like this. Okay, how many DHCP servers are running, DHCP server is properly authorized or not. Okay, where our DHCP server authorization is occurred. Okay, Exchange server, if you have a mailing server, so how many mailing servers we are running in our forest. Okay, so these are the information maintained by configuration partition. So we read in detail also this 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 part of mailing servers or part of the trust and all those things. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so Sai, Teja and Teja able to understand these things. Fine. So we have two types of boundaries: ADS domain boundaries and ADS forest boundaries. Okay, domain boundaries provide you these things. Boundaries provide you these four boundaries, five boundaries: application boundary, administration boundary, group policy boundaries, password boundaries, and application boundary. So whatever we can define in the domain network, that is the boundary, you can say that. Okay, beyond this boundary, no one is able to access anything. Okay, that what the boundary. This is the physical layout of your network, you can say that. Okay, now same in the forest boundaries we have. It have a four types of boundaries: security boundary, application boundary for DNS zones, replication boundary for configuration partition. Okay, so in configuration partition maintains all these things. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so these are the boundaries we have. Okay, so this is the major thing we need to understand is that. Okay, understand both of you. AD boundaries. Okay, okay, great. Now next we need to understand is sites and replication. Okay, so first we need to understand the site and replication, then we can go for trust. Okay, so first we need to understand the site and replication. So we'll go for site and replication just a minute. Okay, now let's discuss about the ADDS replication first. Before we start the replication, we need to understand the partitions first. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the partitions first. Okay, so let's see. Now if I talk about if I go for another paint once. Now if I talk about the partitions, so as you can say that I already told you that in AD we have some partitions too. Okay, so when we talk about the replication works based on the partitions. Okay, remember always that ADDS partitions are automatically installed and works only in and works in a PDC domain controller. Not only PDC domain controller, like if you like PDC represents the forest. Okay, so we have partitions are works in forest as well. Some partitions are works in domain as well. Okay, so every domain network we have partitions too. Okay, so ADDS partitions are automatically installed and works in every domain controller, as you can say that. Okay, every domain controller, every DCs in the forest. Okay, fine. So like imagine that we have a PDC. So PDC we have separate partitions because PDC represents the forest. So forest has separate partitions and domain has separate partitions. Okay, so in short, total we have four partitions. So you can say that number 1 point, ADDS have four partitions, which is automatically installed. Okay, so number 1 partition is known as a configuration partition. Configuration partition. Okay, number 1 is known as a configuration partition. So as I already told you, what configuration partition do? Configuration partition do these things, which I already told you. How many DCs are running in a particular site? Which DCs belongs to which site? DHCP authorization. If I running any DHCP server, so it authorization information maintained by configuration partition. If we have a exchange server means mailing servers. If you have a mailing servers, so all the information about mailing servers maintained by your configuration partition. Okay. Okay, and remember also that the 5th point is also remembered that this partition replicates, or you can say that this partition replicates to all the domain controllers in the forest. Remember these things also. Number 5th point, this partition replicates to all the DCs in the forest, because it's a forest wide partition, as you can say that. Okay, so this partition replicates all the DCs in the forest. It doesn't matter how many DCs you have. If like imagine if in my forest I have total 4 sites. In total 4 sites I have 500 100 DCs in my organization. So also this replication this configuration partition shares the information all the 100 DCs, okay, inside the forest. Understood these things? Fine. So this is what a configuration partition do. Okay, so always remember that your replication works based on the active directory partitions. Okay, so this partition are automatically installed. Okay, where installed? It is installed in the PDC. Okay, remember this thing also. This partition is automatically installed in the PDC, parent domain controller. Okay, now second partition is known as schema partition. Schema partition. Okay, now what is schema partition? Schema partition is used to, you can say that schema partition is used to, or it's also kind of partition. It is used to maintain the AD objects, attributes, and classes. Number one, AD objects, attributes, and classes. Now, what is the meaning of attributes and classes? Now, what is the meaning of attributes and classes? Attributes means like when I create any object, okay, like imagine I can create user accounts, and when I go to properties, okay, so when I just click on properties, over there we have the tabs. Remember, we have the tabs, okay, like I'll showing you once I connect my server. So if we talk about the schema, so schema maintains the information about attributes and classes. Now, what is attributes and classes? I'll let you know. See, now right now I'm in my this is server 1. It's my DC. Okay, and if I open it, I just log in with my DC. Okay, now you can see that right now I already opened Active Directory user and computers. Okay, where I can manage all the AD objects. Okay, so now if you see that, like if I showing you, if I go to my user account, like right now I have a user account, like in this for you we have a user account, U1 user and user 1 2. Now I just right click to the U1 and go to properties. So have you seen these tabs? Member of, journal, address, account, profile, telephones, organization, member of, dial-in, environment, session. Okay, so these tabs is known as uh, um, classes. Okay, these tabs is known as classes. Understood? Okay, and the information about these tabs is known as attributes. So if I talk about in journal class, we have attributes like first name, last name, display name, description, office, telephone number, email address, web page. Now if I click on address class, so in address class we have street box, street, PO box, city, state. Okay, if I click on account class, so we have user logon name, okay, user first name, sorry, user logon name, unlock account, okay, user cannot change the password, password expires, account expires. So these all are classes, as you can say that. These all tabs are known as classes, and in the information about this tab, in this tabs all are known as attributes. Understood? Clear? Both of you, right? Okay. So these all are all informations are stored in which? In schema partition. Okay. So these all information are contained by schema partition. This is the number 1 point we need to understand this. Okay. So now number second, we need to understand in the schema partition is, we talk about the schema partition. So every domain controller maintains a schema copy. Okay, every domain controller maintains a schema copy of. Number second point is, you can say that every DC in the forest maintains the read-only copy of schema. Read-only copy of schema. Remember these things. Okay. Next point we need to understand is schema you can say that schema partition replicates again the same thing. Schema partition also replicates all the domain controllers in the forest. Schema partition also replicates all the DCs in the forest. Remember these things. This is the basic information about schema. You need to understand these things. Okay, understood? Sai, Teja and Teja, understand till now, right? Okay. Now, if you want to modify the schema, okay, you can say that if you want to modify the schema, okay, then you should have schema admin. We have multiple types of admin in the domain network or in the AD. Remember these things. Okay, we have types of admin. Like if I talk about the types of admin, so we have types of admin in AD. Types of admin. Okay, so number one, we have, like I already know, that local admin, administrator. Okay, which is take care about the work group. Okay, local administrator is not working in the domain network. Okay, number second, we have domain administrator. Okay, number third, who domain administrator is able to manage their own domain network. Okay, so if I have 5 domain networks, so we have 5 domain administrators, different 5 domain administrators. Okay, now we have an enterprise administrator. Enterprise administrator means who the administrator, the person who is able to manage all over the forest. Okay, that's what we have, an enterprise administrator. Okay, number fourth, we have schema administrator. Okay, so these are the 4 major administrators we have. Okay, local administrator works in work group only. Domain administrator manage only the domain network where it works. Okay, enterprise administrator able to manage all over the forest. Okay, inside all over the forest. And schema administrator able to manage the schema. If I want to modify the schema, then we should have schema admin. So I'll showing you all these administrators. Like imagine it, like see, right now I'm in Active Directory. Okay, and if I click on users over there, so you can see that we have so many types of administrators are there. Not there, go for built-in, just click on built-in. So as you can see that we have so many kind of administrators are there. Maybe over there, no, in users also I maybe see we have a domain administrator. See, domain admins we have. Okay, we have enterprise admins. Okay, schema admins we are able to see in the built-in group. Maybe schema, here it is, server operators, schema admin. They're not showing you the schema admin. Okay, let's click on users again, schema. Here it is, schema admin also they're showing you. Schema admins, enterprise admins, domain admins. Okay, and you can see that we have a DNS admins also. Okay, so we have a DNS admins too. DNS admin also. Like if you want to make a particular user to manage a DNS server, so we need to make the member of DNS admin also, administrator. So if I make that user member of DNS administrator, so he's able to manage full DNS server. Okay, so these are the types of administrators we have. Okay, so these are the by default these 4 administrators are working. These 4 administrators are able to work in the domain only. Okay, and this local administrator are able to work only in the work group. That's it. Okay, rest 4 administrators are able to work in the domain, every domain. Okay, first domain administrator, it works on the every domain. Enterprise administrator is managed. Okay, so we talk about these five types of admins. Okay, so enterprise admin maintains information about maintains the forest. Okay, schema admin modify the schema. If I want to modify the schema, I should have schema admin. And if I want to manage the DNS server, so we should have DNS administrator too. Okay, so if you have any user and you want to provide some admin rights on the DNS server, so we add the user in the DNS admin. Okay, so like this. Now this is the two. Now these two partitions are works only in Now these two partitions are works only in the only in the you can say that only in the forest. Okay, it means these two partitions are works only in the PDC. Okay, these two are working in the working only in the PDC. Okay, understood. Fine. Now next we have another partitions. We have two partitions more, so we need to understand those two partitions also. The last thing we need to understand for this session. Okay, so we'll go for partition 3. So now partition 3 is known as domain partition. Okay, so this partition are works every domain, every domain. So whenever you can create the domain, okay, this partition is automatically created. Okay, so as you can say that this partition is working every domain in the forest. Okay, every domain in the forest. So whenever you can create the domain, this partition is automatically created. Okay, and it maintains everything, everything in the domain. Whatever I can create in the domain, it maintains everything. Like if I like what it maintains, you can say that user accounts, you can say the AD objects in short, ADS objects, whatever objects I can create in the particular domain, it maintains everything. Okay, uh, full complete all AD objects, as you can say that. Okay, number second, it maintains domain system settings too. Whatever settings by default is running in the domain, okay, it maintains all the settings. Okay, whenever you can create, delete and modify objects, it maintain everything. Okay, updates the AD objects while create, delete and modify. Okay, so this is what a domain partition do. So everything maintained by domain partition, as you can say that. Okay, so if any changes are there, if any changes are there in the domain, it shared that changes with the all the domain partitions too. Okay, so it gives it changes, like if any changes are there, so it's replicate all those changes first with the schema partition, and schema partition share the updates to all the domain partitions in the forest. Okay, now next we have a last partition is known as application partition. So whatever application we run in the AD. Okay, whatever application we can run in the AD, like whether it's a domain applications, you can say that we can have our domain applications. Okay, domain applications. Okay, whatever application we can run with the AD, that application is known as domain applications. Like you can call DNS is a domain application. DNS. Okay, if I running the mailing server, so Exchange server is also a domain application. Okay, like this. So whatever application I can run. Okay, that application stores in the Active Directory database too. Okay, and this application is also known as the AD integrate applications. So whatever application which I am run with the AD, that applications are maintained by that application informations are maintained by application partition. Okay, understood, both of you. So this is the four partitions we have. These four partitions are automatically created. I'm not able to create these four partitions. Okay, these four partitions are able to create automatically. Okay, so first two partitions, or you can say that first two, these are the two domain partitions, and first two partition is known as a forest partition. So these partitions are work only in the PDC, and these partitions, as you can say that, which I talk about the last two partitions, these partitions are worked on every domain network. Okay, so if you have a five domain networks, all those five domain networks has these two partitions too: domain partition and application partition. Okay, understood, both of you. So that's what That's what AD partition. Okay.